Hey scrapbookers, it's Vanessa here with another process video, and to start this layout I am going to add a little bit of mixed media to this green, it's not cardstock, it's a textured pattern paper. It has like a linen texture to it. It doesn't really pick up on camera, but there's a little texture in this paper. And so I'm going to take this heart stencil, and I am using Dazzler's See You in the Morning is the color, and it's basically just going to make a tone-on-tone look on the background, and I'm just going to do it in one long row, or column I should say, on this pattern paper. I'm just going to take my heart stencil here and I'm just going to add this one line of Dazzlers to this layout just to give it a little bit of texture. You don't see a whole lot of it on the finished layout. Most of it gets covered up, but I do like the little bit of texture and sparkle that the Dazzlers adds to it. I did notice when I was doing this, I've had this Dazzlers for a while, and I did notice that it is starting to get pretty sticky. So I will tell you, if you use any shimmers, Dazzlers, or textures, they seem to definitely have a shelf life. So if you haven't used yours in a while, I would definitely pull them out and start using them, because I don't know how much longer this one's going to last. But for now, it's working. I'm just going to try to get as much use out of it as I can before it gets unusable. And so now that my mixed media is done, I showed you that I have a pink piece of paper that had all those flowers. That was from the Oh Darling collection. And I went off camera while the paper or the background was drying, and I fussy cut all of those. So that is what, now that I'm back and starting to build my background, that is what I did once I turned the camera off. So for this layout, I am actually following a recipe challenge from a message board that I am a part of. And so there were specific things that I had to use on this layout. So those items were something green, which my background and modeling or texture paste took care of the green. And then you had to fussy cut something. So obviously my fussy cut flowers from my pattern paper took care of that one. And then as we go through, I will let you know what else was from the recipe. And so to sort of figure out how I wanted to design this layout, I knew I wanted to use lots of flowers. I had fussy cut the whole page of flowers from that Oh Darling piece of paper. And I knew I wanted this sort of not diagonally right across the page, but sort of a small diagonal, with the photo being in the middle, right over this left or right hand side of the layout. So that's what I'm doing here. And the whole time I'm laying all these down, I am trying to decide if I'm going to map my photo, and then I'm trying to decide what I want to do, what else I want to do to the background. So you see me lay everything out, and then in a second you're going to see me take it all off. And I did decide to go back. Yeah, I definitely need to add something. I hadn't even put that pink piece of paper down on the layout yet. And so I'm now going to do that after I've inked everything with my Vintage Photo Distress ink. That's what I've been using for this entire kit. And if you want specifics on the papers and whatnot that I'm using for this layout, it is all in my 6x6 Inspired March stash kit. That is what I'm using bits and pieces from for this layout. And so rather than me having to tell you every time, if you are ever curious, you can always go back to that video and you can watch, and I go through everything that I pulled for my March kit. So I'm now inking up this background green piece of paper, and that is eventually going to be mounted on a piece of pink cardstock that will show up here in a little bit. So while I was doing that, I did pull the papers, which are mostly scraps for the mats that will be around my photo. And I had also in my kit pulled this piece of beige lace trim, and I knew I wanted to use it on a layout. And I figured this one was definitely the right one to use it on. It was a girly layout with my daughter. Just a picture of her all dressed up one morning. And so I figured this would be the perfect layout. So I did turn the camera off because I had quite the time to get that lace trim to lay down properly. So it took me a little bit of fiddling to get that done. But I eventually got that down and put that underneath that pink and yellow or pink and beige striped piece of pattern paper. And then I took a sticker from that Maggie Holmes sticker sheet that I've been working through on this kit. And it had a little small border sticker of this little sort of scalloped circles with hearts in the middle. And that made the perfect just edge for the top of that pattern paper where it met the lace. And so I used that to cover that seam up. And actually in the end, you only ever really see the top bit of it. But I like the texture that the trim adds. And then just a little pop of that border sticker just sets off the top of the layout. So here I am just matting up my photo. And like I said, I'm just using mostly scraps from other pages or other layouts that I've done already this month. A lot of these are just scraps from some of those. I have 3 pieces that'll eventually go together here for my photo mat. And this photo is just a little picture of my daughter. Like I said, she was just dressed up one morning. She's wearing her green dress with her gray tights and her gray boots, and she was looking pretty cute. So I just am scrapping this. There's no real story with this layout. I will put some journaling there on that tag that you see me put behind the layout right now, but there's really no huge story with this one. It was just a really cute picture of her one day. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through again, and I am going to lay out everything for how the layout's going to look. I'm going to lay everything back out like you saw originally, this time adding in some additional embellishments that I had pulled from my stash kit. I am using 3 of the DIY embellishments that I created using bits and pieces that I pulled from my stash kit. If you want to see how any of those DIY embellishments were made, you can go back and look at the 6x6 inspired DIY embellishment video, and that'll show you sort of some of the things that I came up with that I decided to create to use with my March stash kit. And most of it was just coming from the 6x6 paper pad that I pulled, or this kit was inspired by. So here I'm just sort of laying everything out again, all the flowers, going back pretty much how you saw them laid out the first time. I've pulled in a label that in pink and then layered another label that says remember on top of that with that doily flower DIY embellishment to the side. And then I'm doing the top cluster with all the flowers, excuse me, piled up on top of each other. And then I'm just kind of playing around, adding as many as I can. I have a chipboard tassel from an old Maggie Holmes collection that is going to go there to the side of the photo. I've also created the cluster that'll be on the left-hand side at the top. And that, again, just has a label sticker underneath from that Maggie Holmes sticker sheet, one of the die-cut flowers, one of the DIY embellishments. So I'm really just repeating the same things over and over again. And here I am playing with one of these chipboard stickers from one of my thicker sheets that I pulled, and it does not stay. You'll see in the final pictures at the end, that doesn't actually stay. I could have probably made it work, but when I went to stick everything down, I didn't like the way it looked at the bottom of the layout, so that does go away in the end. Now for the challenge, in addition to the green and the fussy cut elements, I also had to use brads. So here I am pulling the brads that I'm going to use and putting them scattered around the layout. And then I also had to use something, 4 of something. So you saw me take those gold plus signs and I added those. There are 4 of those that were on that thicker sheet, and I put those throughout the layout. After that, I did pull the beautiful thicker from that sticker sheet, and that became my title, so very original. And once I had that done, I went ahead and just turned the camera off and I glued everything down because there was no way I wanted you guys to watch me glue all of that down. So now that I'm back and everything is glued down, I'm able to add this little pocket that will hold my journaling, little journaling tag. And I think the top of the tag originally said to do on the top, but I decided, obviously, I'm not writing a to-do list to my daughter in this layout. I'm needing to change that. So I took some of these green word stickers from my mind's eye, and I just grabbed 2 that made sense. I think it said, "Oh, pretty," or "so pretty." Yeah, "so pretty." And I just stuck those so that you couldn't read the to-do anymore. And it made the perfect little sentiment to put on top of that tag that will now hold my journaling. So to finish this layout off, I do add some enamel dots in a green, just scattered throughout the layout. And I didn't do it on camera, but before I took the pictures, I did add my last requirement for my recipe challenge, which was some ink, which I used the Heidi Swap Gold Color Shine, and added some splatters to the layout, which you'll see in these final photos. So these are the final photos, and if you like this layout, be sure to subscribe and you can see what else I come up with using my March stash kit. Talk to you guys later. Have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.